For over 3,000 years, Egypt stood as a beacon of civilization, home to mighty pharaohs, awe-inspiring pyramids, and a culture so rich, it still mesmerizes us today. But then, it fell. And not just once, but over and over again, until the land of gods and gold was ruled by foreign powers. So, what really happened? Was it war? Was it climate change? Was it greed, religion, or something more subtle? And more importantly, what can the fall of ancient Egypt teach us today? Welcome to another episode of Echoes of the Past, where we dive deep into the untold stories, hidden truths, and timeless lessons of history. I'm your host, Noah Lobby, and today, we unravel the real reasons behind the fall of one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever known, ancient Egypt. When we think of ancient Egypt, we often picture a monolithic culture, unchanging, eternal, and almost mythical in its perfection. But here's the truth: Egypt didn't fall once. It fell many times. Each time, it rose again, but never quite the same. From the Old Kingdom to the New Kingdom, and eventually into the Greco-Roman period, Egypt's history spans millennia. That's longer than any modern nation has existed. But like all great powers, Egypt wasn't immune to decline. In fact, it was often a mix of internal cracks and external pressure that led to collapse. Think of it this way: a civilization doesn't just fall overnight. It erodes, slowly, like a river wearing down stone. Let's rewind the clock, back to the height of Egypt's power, around 1200 BCE, the time of Pharaoh Ramses II. Egypt was prosperous. Its economy was strong, its armies were feared, and its temples were dripping in gold. But beneath the surface, the cracks were forming. First, let's talk about something you don't often hear in history classes: climate change. Around 1200 to 1100 BCE, the eastern Mediterranean was rocked by a series of severe droughts. Modern climate data, taken from ancient pollen, tree rings, and sediment, confirms this. The Nile River, Egypt's lifeline, experienced dramatic fluctuations. The annual floods became erratic, and with poor floods came poor harvests. And if you know anything about Egypt, you know this: no Nile flood equal no food. And no food equal chaos. Famine gripped the land. People turned on each other. Rebellions broke out. The government couldn't pay its workers, which meant even the sacred tombs of pharaohs were looted by the very men who once built them. Imagine being a farmer in Thebes, watching your crops die. Your children go hungry. Your king still demands taxes. Your gods stay silent. Would you still believe in the divine order of things? The environmental crisis wasn't just a bump in the road, it was the first domino. Enter the Sea Peoples, a mysterious confederation of raiders who swept across the Mediterranean around 1200 BCE. No one knows exactly who they were, but their impact was devastating. They struck the Hittites, destroyed Mycenae, and eventually came for Egypt. Pharaoh Ramses III fought them off, but barely. Egypt won the war, but lost its strength. The treasury was drained. Trade routes were shattered. Foreign allies vanished. And once Egypt lost its grip on the Levant, it lost its buffer zone, a protective belt that kept enemies at bay. From then on, invasions became more frequent, from Libyans, Nubians, Assyrians, Persians, and eventually the Greeks and Romans. Egypt was no longer the predator, it had become the prey. But perhaps the most damaging blows came from within. As food became scarce and enemies closed in, Egypt's powerful priesthood began to rival the authority of the pharaoh. By the time of the Third Intermediate Period, around 1069 BCE, Egypt was effectively divided. The pharaoh ruled in name, but real power was in the hands of priests and local warlords. Religion, once a source of unity, now fractured the state. Even the people began to doubt. When tombs were desecrated, when temples were abandoned, when even the sun god Ra seemed to turn away, faith eroded. And with it, the social glue that had bound Egypt for millennia. History tells us this: a kingdom can survive a drought. It can even survive a war. But once the people stop believing in the system, collapse is inevitable. So, what really caused the fall of ancient Egypt? It wasn't just one thing. It was a perfect storm: environmental disaster, foreign invasions, economic breakdown, religious fragmentation, loss of faith in leadership. And here's where it gets interesting. These aren't just ancient problems. Today, we face climate instability, polarized politics, economic uncertainty, mass disinformation. The fall of Egypt isn't just a story of the past, it's a warning for the future. Empires don't fall in one day. They unravel when small cracks go unnoticed, until it's too late. So what can we do? Learn. Pay attention to the signs. Recognize that even the strongest systems are fragile when unity, trust, and sustainability are lost. Ancient Egypt was majestic, powerful, and incredibly resilient. But like all things, it eventually fell. Its story reminds us that greatness is not permanent, and that civilizations rise and fall based on how they respond to crisis. As we close today's episode, I invite you to reflect on this. What cracks are forming in our own world today? And what can we learn from the sands of Egypt before time erases our own monuments? If this episode sparked your curiosity, give it a like, subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future deep dives, and hit the notification bell so you're the first to know when new episodes drop. And hey, if you know someone who's a history buff, a student of life, or just loves a good story, share this episode with them. Let's grow our community of curious minds together. Until next time, I'm Noah Lobby. Stay curious, stay aware, and never stop learning.